Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the Liberty and Death expansion set for the Planet of the Apes role-playing game. This includes 4 miniatures and a huge dice tower. And in this video I'm going to get everything assembled and painted. There is a second expansion set called Higher Calling. We'll look at that in another video. Lady Liberty comes in 2 pieces and it's quite a tight fit to get the arm in place. We also have 3 scarecrows. The sculpture is identical in each one. And then finally we have a mutant wanderer who can no doubt sneak into Ape City and cause mischief. This dice tower has a hell of a wobble to it, so we're going to have to do something about that. And also the dice tower is like a rocket launcher, so that needs slowing down a little bit. So I'm going to start off by creating a base for this, and I'm using 5mm PVC board. So the black line are the dimensions of Liberty, and the red is the overspill area. This should help make the base feel a bit more organic, and then the red line can now be cut out. This doesn't need to be exact, just somewhere near will do. The edges will need sanding down to smooth them out. I've left a decent sized area outside the exit of the cave. This is where I'm going to add some stone and sand to slow down the dice. I also sand down the area a little bit to create a bit of a ramp. I go around the inside of the back line with a healthy dose of Gorilla Glue. And with this I can put Liberty to one side and let it set. And when we come back I'm going to dig out the milliput and blend both the base and the Liberty together. It's just a matter of rolling it into snakes and stuffing it into the gap. And that gap is much bigger at one side than the other. Next it needs blending in, and there's a variety of tools you can use to do that. I prefer the metal sculpting tools. For the entrance to the cave I simply use a wet finger, as this helps to create a ramp. I continue the process all the way around, and once I'm back round to the front, whatever leftover milliput I have I use to create some boulders. To help slow down the dice, I add a ridge at one side, as well as the other, and the 2 boulders. And this slows down the dice enough so you're not having to hunt for them on the floor. While the milliput is still malleable, I add on a few more stones. Once again this helps with the blending process. It's just a matter of placing them on to make them look fairly random. And then for the final touch, I add on some PVA glue. This is neatly spread around with an old brush, and then I sprinkle copious amounts of modelled sand all over it. And I use modelled sand because it's much finer and helps with the scale. So once that's dried, I spray everything with grey primer. Already it's looking like one solid piece. The milliputs do need more time to cure, so in the meantime I'm going to start painting the miniatures. For the mutant wanderer, I paint his face and his hand in a pale flesh, and for his uniform, which is underneath his cloak, I paint it a grey-white. I also give it a black wash so you can see the details, and for his robe I give it a sandy colour followed by a brown wash. Then the base was painted in a light grey. Instead of going with black for the rim of the base, I chose a dark brown. This seemed very fitting in the earthly settings. And now to add on the basic materials, I stuck on a single piece of grass tuft. Then using an old brush I spread on some PVA glue. Then I dipped the miniature in a rocky type material. I secured everything further by dropping on some fixer. For the scarecrows I chose to paint them a collage of browns, as they're supposed to be made up of several different animal skins. I make a conscious effort to paint the ropes lighter, so that way they'll contrast against the other colours. I also added some light dry brushes to fade out the material and to separate the edges. For the base I painted them yellow ochre, so they look sun bleached. And for the edges I made them the same as the wanderer, dark brown. After adding a few grass tufts, I chose to add pure sand to cover the remainder of the base, as these scarecrows were only found on the borders of the Forbidden Zone, where the land is barren and lifeless. So after adding some fixture, I put these to one side to set. And now it's time to make Lady Liberty green. I chose this darker shade of green as it matches her look in the film, but in reality it's more of a light blue-green colour. To dirty things up, I mix a brown and black wash out of acrylic paint. Then I randomly apply both washes everywhere, as I've got to represent over 2,000 years worth of dirt and grime. Then using a tissue, I dab off some of the excess from the upper areas, so a majority of the dirt is left in the recesses. Once everything's had time to dry, a dry brush on the light blue. This is closer in tone to the natural colour, plus it gives me some highlights. I also give it a once over with a white dry brush to create a sun bleached effect, and you can tell that it makes the whole thing start to pop. Some of the framework is coming through on the arms, so I'll make sure I paint them a rusty colour. Next I gently rub on some gold bubble buff over the flame. Only the tiniest amount transfers across, makes it look like it's almost all faded. The rocks in the film are a muddy brown colour, so I'll replicate that. I don't need to be too neat, as that will be fixed once I add the tan colour. Which surprisingly is next. Then I need to blend the colour together, do a bit more dry brushing, and we're finished. So now we can go into the final reveal. I still have the core set to paint up as well as the second expansion, but to be honest I was too excited to get the Liberty statue done first. The scarecrows and the wandering mutant came out nice as well. These add further dimension to the gameplay and definitely shouldn't be missing from your collection. Stick around to the end of the video to see the dice tower in action, and you'll see for yourself if my modifications have worked regarding slowing down the dice, because if you remember they came shooting out like bullets, which is just going to knock down all your figures in the game. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if I can do it, so can you.